When a restaurant manager humiliates Will Smith and kicks him out, he has no idea he's just made the worst mistake of his career. What started as a public embarrassment turned into a powerful moment of triumph and a turning point no one saw coming. Stick around to see how it all unfolded. And hey, subscribe so you don't miss more stories like this, and drop a comment to let us know where you're watching from. The sun was sinking low over Los Angeles, casting that warm, golden light across the streets like only LA can. Will Smith sat back in the driver's seat of his black SUV, the city humming around him, a satisfied smile creeping across his face. The past few months had been a non-stop ride, shooting, meetings, interviews, more meetings, but tonight wasn't about work. Tonight was for his people. His circle. His real ones. His phone buzzed. A text from Tina, "We're at the studio. Heading to the spot. Can't wait." Will chuckled. Tina, with her firebrand spirit and voice that could shake a room, had always been one of the anchors in his life. This dinner wasn't just to unwind. It was to remind his crew how much they meant to him. A celebration of survival, hustle, and friendship. In the back seat, Jaden was flipping through playlists. "You sure about this restaurant, Pops? I heard it's kinda ziff." Will caught his son's eyes in the rearview mirror. "Trust me, Jay. Eminence dining is the move. It's upscale, but chill. You'll see." Jaden shrugged. "If you say so." When they pulled up to the studio, the rest of the crew was already there. Tina stood by the curb in a flowing red dress, curls glowing under the last light of day. Beside her, Jason, always fired up about some new cause, was mid-rent with Lyric, a young filmmaker whose indie projects were finally starting to pop. Their laughter bounced off the street as Will stepped out. "Finally!" Tina shouted, hugging him tight. "Traffic," Will laughed, motioning toward the madness behind them. "But hey, it's my party. Couldn't start without me." Jason smirked. "Technically, it's our party. You're just the one paying." The whole group cracked up. These weren't just friends. They were family. Ride or die through all the highs and lows. As they piled into the SUV, conversation shifted to the restaurant. Eminence was known for being exclusive, elegant, and elite. The kind of place where deals got done and reputations were built. Will had been there before. Quiet luxury, flawless service, perfect for a night like this. "This place really that fancy?" Lyric asked, adjusting his collar. "I feel like I should have rented a tux." Tina rolled her eyes. "Relax. It's dinner. Besides, we're with Will. They'll roll out the red carpet." Will just smiled. He didn't want the night to feel like an event. He wanted it to feel like home. Just good people, good food, and a break from the grind. As they cruised through Beverly Hills, the city shimmered. Palm trees swayed, jasmine hung in the air, and everything felt right. Eminence sat on a quiet corner, sleek and minimal from the outside, oozing quiet confidence. A valet opened Will's door as they stepped out, everyone buzzing with excitement. Inside, the restaurant was dripping in elegance, soft chandeliers, polished wood, murmured conversations, and the subtle clink of crystal. Staff glided across the floor like they were floating. Will led the way to the hostess stand, calm and confident. "Reservation for Smith. Party of 6. The hostess, sharp features, tight ponytail, checked the screen. Something flickered in her eyes. Then she stiffened. "One moment, sir." The group exchanged looks as she disappeared to the back. Jason leaned in. "Anyone else catch that vibe?" Will shrugged. "It's fine. Probably just confirming. These places run tight." But minutes passed. Then more. And when she came back, her tone had changed. "I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, it appears there's been an error with your reservation. We don't have a table available." Will blinked. "That's not possible. I confirmed this morning." She avoided eye contact. Unfortunately, we're fully booked tonight. I apologize for the inconvenience. Tina folded her arms. Really? Because we passed 3 empty tables on the way in. The hostess's smile froze. Those tables are reserved, the hostess said, voice tight. Will's patience was wearing thin. Look, he said calmly, we're not trying to make a scene, just check again. We booked this weeks ago. Before she could answer, a man in a sharp-tailored suit emerged from the back. His presence was strong, but his eyes held irritation. Is there a problem here? He asked. We'll turn to face him. Apparently our reservation doesn't exist anymore. Mind explaining how that happened? The manager's smile was cold and practiced. Mr. Smith, I apologize for the confusion. But we have to follow our policy. We're fully booked tonight. The group looked at each other in disbelief. Jason stepped forward. You've got to be kidding. This is Will Smith. You're seriously turning him away? The manager's tone sharpened. We treat all our guests equally. If you don't have a reservation, we can't accommodate you. Will could feel it, the stares from nearby tables, the quiet whispers crawling through the air. This wasn't about a reservation. It was deeper than that. Uglier. Let's go, Will said quietly. Jason hesitated. I said let's go. Their celebration crumbled. Outside, the night felt colder, the city harsher. Will took a deep breath. He'd faced worse, but this one cut different. It wasn't just about him. It was about what he represented. As they drove away, silence filled the SUV. Tina stared ahead, furious but quiet. Lyric clenched his hands in his lap. Jason, on the other hand, sat on the edge of his seat, brimming with barely contained anger. That wasn't about a reservation, Jason finally said. You all felt it, didn't you? The way they looked at us? Will kept his eyes on the road, jaw tight. He didn't respond right away. The humiliation. The heat in his chest. That bitter, familiar feeling of being dismissed. Of being othered. Jason kept going. Man, you've been in their movies. Filled their theaters. You probably helped pay for that damn chandelier in there, and they still treated you like. Enough, Will cut in, low but sharp. Jason stopped talking. But the fire didn't leave his face. Jaden, quiet until now, finally spoke. It wasn't just about Dad. They treated all of us like we didn't belong. Like we weren't good enough. The words hit hard. No one argued. When they dropped Tina off, she paused before stepping out. Will, she said gently, you can't let this go. Will looked at her. A small smile tugged at the edge of his mouth. I won't, he said. But I need to think. One by one, the group said their goodbyes, leaving just Will and Jaden alone in the car. You okay, Dad? Jaden asked. Will leaned his head back against the seat. I'm fine, Jay. Just tired. But as they pulled into their driveway, Will knew that wasn't the truth. He wasn't tired. He was angry. Angry at the restaurant. At the system that allowed it. And at himself for walking away without saying more. Inside, the house was quiet. Jaden disappeared into his room. Will sat alone in the living room, the screen of his phone lighting up with messages. Tina had already posted. Her words raw and honest. Jason's post followed, furious, unfiltered. Even Lyric, the quiet one, shared a photo of the restaurant with 3 words, not for everyone. Will stared at his screen. He had a choice. Stay silent. Or speak. He opened the camera app and hit record. Sitting on the edge of the couch, he looked into the lens. Tonight something happened that I can't ignore, he said, voice calm but heavy. My friends and I went to a restaurant. A place I've supported. A place I thought respected me. He paused. But tonight, we were turned away. Not because they couldn't seat us. but because of who we are. His eyes didn't flinch. I've worked my whole life to create space, not just for me, but for everyone who looks like me, dreams like me, lives like me. But nights like this remind me we're still not always welcome. Not everywhere. He took a breath. That changes now. No matter how far we've come, Will said into the camera, there's still so much further to go. He paused, eyes steady. This isn't just about me. It's about all of us. And it's time for things to change. He hit upload. And within minutes, the internet answered. The video spread like wildfire. Comments poured in, thousands of them. Outrage, solidarity, pain. People from all walks of life sharing their own stories of being turned away, shut out, treated like they didn't belong. The hashtag not at our table exploded across platforms. And the name Eminence Dining? It was everywhere, for all the wrong reasons. By morning, Will's phone looked like a fireworks show. Mentions, tags, headlines. Celebrities. Journalists. Activists. Fans. Everyone had something to say. The restaurant released a vague statement, something about a misunderstanding. But it was too late. The damage was done. Will sat at his kitchen table, scrolling through the storm of support and sorrow. And under all the noise, something started to rise in him, not just anger this time. Purpose. That afternoon, Jason called. Man, have you seen this? He said, voice electric. They're scrambling. This is huge. Will leaned back, calm but focused. It's not about them scrambling, he said. It's about making sure this doesn't keep happening. Jason paused. So what's the move? Will's tone shifted. Steady. Serious. We build something better. A table where everyone's welcome. And we make sure the world knows it. Jason didn't miss a beat. I'm in. Whatever you need. After the call, Will sat and thought. This wasn't just about a viral moment. This was bigger than him. Bigger than one restaurant. It was a chance to create something that could outlast the moment, a shift, not just a spotlight. The next morning came with a strange stillness, even as the world buzzed around him. Will sat with his phone in hand. Notifications still flying in. His video had crossed 1 million views overnight. Jaden wandered into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Whoa, he said, peeking at his dad's screen. You're trending, and not like funny dance video trending. People are mad. Will nodded. They're not just mad. They're waking up. Stories were pouring in. Stories that sounded just like theirs, some even worse. Discrimination, disrespect, exclusion. It wasn't new. But now, people weren't staying silent. Tina's post had gone viral on its own. Raw. Fiery. She called out the hypocrisy of performative inclusion and challenged people to stop pretending everything was fine. Jason was doing what Jason does, amplifying everything. Every comment. Every post. Every voice that had been ignored before. And he was tagging everyone. Influencers. Journalists. Even politicians. Will's phone buzzed again. Jason. Will, he said breathlessly, this thing is everywhere. People want interviews. News crews are calling. This is our shot, man. We gotta do something. Will exhaled slowly. You're right. This is more than us now, Jason added. We have the momentum. We can't let it die down. Will ran a hand over his face, the weight of it all sinking in. This is for everyone who's ever felt like they didn't belong. Like the door was closed before they even knocked. Jason went quiet for a second. So what are you thinking? Will didn't answer right away. No protest, he said finally. Not this time. We've done angry. This has to be bigger. It's not about yelling at closed doors, it's about building our own. Ones that stay open. Another pause. You're right, Jason said, softer now. You always think a step ahead. Will smiled faintly. It's not about being ahead. It's about making sure the next step actually matters. He hung up. And for a long moment, he just sat there, silent, still, eyes on the horizon in his mind. Across the table, Jaden watched him closely. You've got an idea, don't you? Will looked at his son. Then nodded. Yeah, he said. And it starts now. What's the plan, Dad? Will looked at his son, the weight of the moment etched across his face. His voice was steady, thoughtful. We're going to show them how it's done, Jay. We're going to create a space where everyone is welcome. A place that celebrates us, our culture, our talent, and we're going to do it in a way they can't ignore. Jaden's eyes lit up. Like a restaurant? Will nodded slowly. Something like that, but bigger. I want the best chefs, the best artists, the best of everything our community has to offer. We'll have a night that honors us in a way Eminence Dining never could. And we'll invite everyone who's ever been told they don't belong. A grin spread across Jaden's face. That sounds amazing. You really think it'll work? Will's smile was full of quiet determination. It has to. By midday, the story had exploded. Mainstream news picked it up. Reporters swarmed the outside of Eminence Dining, questioning patrons as they entered. Footage of the restaurant's manager fumbling through a weak apology ran on every major channel. They used words like misunderstanding and unfortunate error. But their faces said it all, they were blindsided. And the apology? It did nothing. The fire was already lit. Later that day, Tina called. Her voice was crackling with emotion. Did you see that fake apology? She asked. They're trying to brush it off like it's nothing. Like a simple sorry erases what happened. Will had seen it. Every word carefully chosen, every sentence crafted to avoid responsibility. They weren't sorry for what they did. They were sorry they got caught. We're not letting them off the hook, Will said. His voice was firm. Certain. Tina's tone softened, pride bleeding through. Good. Because I've been thinking, what if this isn't just one night? What if we make it something more? A movement. A series of events. Artists, chefs, musicians, bring in people from all over. Make it loud. Make it unignorable. Will sat with that for a moment. And then the idea took root. I like that, he said. We'll call it the table for all. A place where everyone has a seat, no matter who they are or where they come from. There was a long pause on the other end. Then Tina whispered, Will, that's beautiful. Let's do it. The rest of Will's day was a blur of phone calls and planning. He reached out to friends, colleagues, and connections across LA, chefs, artists, musicians, storytellers. And the response? Immediate and overwhelming. They were ready. Chefs volunteered their time. Musicians offered to perform for free. Artists begged to contribute. Everyone wanted to be part of something that stood against the quiet, polished cruelty they'd all experienced. That evening, Will sat in his living room, surrounded by scattered notes and sticky pads full of names and ideas. He thrived in moments like this, when purpose met action. This wasn't about making a statement anymore. This was about building something that lasted. Jaden wandered in, glancing at the chaos on the coffee table. Looks like you're cooking up something big. Will looked up, smiling. Bigger than anything I've ever done. Jaden nodded, pride flickering in his eyes. I'm in. Whatever you need. Will pulled his son into a quick hug. I'm gonna need all the help I can get, he said. Because this isn't just about one night. It's about changing the way people see us and making sure no one else ever feels like we did last night. Jaden nodded, his voice low but full of conviction. Then let's do it. As he walked away, Will stayed seated, the full weight of the moment pressing into his chest. This wasn't just about bouncing back. This was about legacy. About creating something real for Jaden. For the community. For everyone who came next. He picked up his phone and called Jason. When he answered, Will didn't hesitate. "Get ready," he said. "We're about to change the game." The next morning, Will woke with a fire in his chest. He'd always believed real change started from within, but now he understood it also needed a plan. A platform. A challenge to the status quo. He sat at the breakfast table, coffee in hand, notebook open. His pen scratched across the page as he wrote out the first line. The table for all, everyone deserves a seat. Names. Ideas. Venues. Partners. It all spilled onto the paper like a mission. He looked up and saw Jaden, still in pajamas, munching cereal and scrolling through his phone. Will smiled. Not just at his son, but at what they were about to do. He didn't know every step of the road ahead. But he knew one thing. It started now. "Jay," Will said, catching his son's attention. Jaden looked up from his phone, raising an eyebrow. "Yeah, Dad? Remember what we talked about yesterday? About building something better?" Jaden nodded, curiosity sparking in his eyes. "You mean the big event? The one where everyone's welcome?" "Exactly." Will tapped his pen on the notebook in front of him. "But I've been thinking. It can't just be one event. It needs to be a movement. A series of gatherings. A space where people can show up as they are, where culture, talent, and community come together. No fear. No exclusion." Jaden's face lit up. A smile crept across his lips. "That's awesome, Dad. How can I help?" Will paused, looking at his son. He'd watched Jaden grow up in a world that wasn't always kind. Now he was ready to stand up, be part of something real. And Will felt that pride hit him right in the chest. "Well, for starters," Will said, "I need your help spreading the word. You're better at social media than I'll ever be. We need buzz fast." Jaden grinned. "Consider it done." Later that day, Will picked up the phone. First call, Tina. She answered on the second ring, already buzzing with energy. "Will, you better be calling to tell me we're doing this." He laughed. "I am. We're going all in." Tina nearly shouted, "Let's go." "I want this to be more than a reaction," Will said. "This needs to be a celebration. A space where our people, our stories, our flavors and voices take center stage." Tina's voice softened, her excitement laced with emotion. "Will, that's beautiful. You know I'm in. Whatever you need." They talked for a while, tossing around ideas, names, venues. Tina had deep ties in music and food, people who would jump at the chance to be part of something like this. By the time they hung up, it was no longer just a concept. It was a movement in motion. The next call was to Jason. He answered with his signature intensity. "Tell me we're about to light a fire under these people." Will smiled. "We are. But not with anger. Not this time. We're building something better. Something they can't ignore. Something no one can take away from us." There was a pause. And when Jason spoke again, his voice had changed, calmer, but full of weight. "You're right, man. This is more than one night. It's about showing the world, and ourselves, that we belong. That we've always belonged." Will closed his eyes, letting those words sink in. They all knew what that night at Eminence felt like. It wasn't just about being denied a table. It was about being denied respect. Recognition. Humanity. This was the answer. They had felt the sting of being treated like they didn't belong. But instead of staying in that pain, Will and his friends turned it into purpose. Over the next few days, they threw themselves into the table for all, reaching out to chefs, artists, and musicians from underrepresented communities, building an event rooted in culture, creativity, and connection. The response was overwhelming. Jaden showed viral posts filled with love and support. People shared their own stories of exclusion and their excitement for what was coming. Will spoke with Jada that night. Her support grounded him. "This won't fade," she told him. "Because it's not just an event, it's a message." The vision became reality. They secured a venue, a warm, industrial space in downtown LA. The night before the launch, Will stood in the empty room, imagining the energy it would hold. "You ready?" Jaden asked. Will nodded. "Yeah, I am." The event was powerful. The room filled with families, artists, community leaders, people who had once been shut out, now welcomed with open arms. The food told stories. The music carried emotion. Tina sang. Jason raised a glass. "To our table," he said, "and to never being turned away again." Guests shared their dreams, their past hurts, and their hope. An elderly woman thanked Will. "Tonight, I feel like there's hope for my grandkids." It wasn't just a dinner. It was healing. Photos and videos from the night went viral. The media spotlight turned not just on the table for all, but back onto Eminence Dining. Their shallow apologies couldn't hide the truth. Former employees began to speak out. Reviews tanked. Eventually, the restaurant closed its doors. But Will didn't celebrate the fall. He focused on the rise. When asked by a reporter how he felt, he said simply, "It's not about tearing anyone down. It's about building something better, for all of us." The Table for All became a nationwide movement. Community dinners popped up in other cities, Chicago, Atlanta, Detroit. Will and his team shared everything they learned, encouraging others to create inclusive spaces of their own. On the anniversary of the first event, Will stood on stage in a massive venue packed with people. Families. Chefs. Dreamers. He looked out and said, "A year ago, we were told we didn't belong. So we created our own space. And now, we make sure everyone has a seat at the table." The applause was deafening. What started as exclusion became a movement of belonging. Not just a reaction, but a promise to keep building, to keep including, to make sure no one is ever turned away again.